Let's turn this into this. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Work from Homesteader. Today we are going to be making applesauce from scratch and then canning it so that it stays shelf stable. I don't know about you, but my toddler loves applesauce and it is pretty popular in our household, but sometimes it can be hard to find stuff without sugar in it. So I like making it ourselves so that we can control all of the ingredients. Plus, it is so much less expensive making it ourselves than buying it in the store, so I love that option as well. All right, so here I am just peeling and dicing up all of the apples. I am taking all of the peels and I am putting them in a separate bowl. And then I am taking the apple core and chopping them all up and putting them into the pan that I'm going to be cooking in so that I don't have to, clean another bowl later, which is really nice. And the reason that I am putting the skins into a bowl instead of either the compost or the garbage is I'm actually going to take the skins and any other chunks that are left over that aren't going to go into the applesauce and make apple cider vinegar later, which is a really nice way to, make sure that we're using all of the apple at the end of the day. Apple cider vinegar is so good for you. So this is what everything is looking like about a quarter of the way through. We end up filling this entire pot and you'll see in a little bit. So before I get my apples going on the stove, I'm just preparing my canner. So I'm getting all of our half pints in the canner and then I'm filling them up about half to 3/4 way with water. And then I'll be filling up the water to the fill line, and just that helps get the jars warm enough so that they're all ready for when we start to jar our applesauce. Once that's done, I put all of the apples on the stove. I put about a half a cup to a cup of water in the pot so that the bottom does not burn. And then I put the cover on. I put it on about a medium. And then I just checked on it every 10 to 15 minutes and gave it a stir. And unfortunately, I was doing all of our dishes at that time. So all I had was a spatula to turn. However, it worked okay. As you might be able to see here, they are still pretty firm, so I definitely needed to put them in for a longer period of time. So I closed the cover back up, and then in another 15 to 20 minutes, I checked on it and I started to mash them down a little bit. So I chopped them into smaller pieces because they were much softer, and that helped them cook a little bit faster. And then once that was done, and things were a little bit softer, I took the immersion blender and I started to blend up the apples. And they weren't quite totally done here, but this helped cook them a little bit faster. And after about 5 more minutes after this initial blend, then I was able to finish blending them up and make them into the applesauce that we're about to can. So this is what it looks like when it's almost done. As you can see, it's starting to look a lot like the applesauce that you might see in the store. Then I added in about 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. I just finished up this jar here, but you can really season it just based on the taste. You don't have to add it in if you don't like cinnamon. And I chose not to add sugar in either. I really just prefer the taste of applesauce without any added sugar. I kind of think the apples are sweet enough on their own. Here I just took out the hot jar from the canner, I emptied the water, and then I am putting the applesauce into the jar using this funnel. It helps keep everything nice and clean. And then I wiped off the rim, put on the lid, and screwed on the ring, and that's just fingertip tight. I repeated that process 6 more times, and then I put them into our canner, and I covered them with water about an inch or two above the canner. And then after about 15 minutes of processing time, I took out all of the jars onto the counter on a kitchen towel. I waited 24 hours before taking the rings off, but then we had shelf-stable applesauce that'll last about a year for us. Let me know in the comments if you give this a try.